One of my least comfortable memories as being an HR director was presenting a new pay and grading system to my senior leadership team. My team had worked for months on it, and in my view, it was beautiful. We had reduced the number of levels from 18 to 6 to make it simpler and reduce hierarchies. We had carefully plotted the generic and transferable skills to facilitate movement across the organisation. We had stripped away the inflationary job titles to make it easier to analyse and plan resource allocation. This will be transformative, I thought. Unfortunately, other than a kind of general reaction of apathy, one particular response from a divisional head sticks in my mind, and he said, "I can't see how this helps my organisation. It just looks like HR neatness." Oh, I was absolutely devastated. Years on, I can see what he meant. You know, whilst my intentions were good, I'd failed to recognise that the human beings who worked for us were not going to respond well to this neatness. They loved the fact that the smaller incremental steps through the hierarchy gave them a sense of progress. The reasons people didn't move across the organisation wasn't because they didn't know how their skills could be transferred. It was because we had a culture of where asking to move out of your division was seen as a betrayal by your manager and your peers. In an era of cost-cutting and low pay awards, the puffing up of your job title with the addition of senior acted as a reward. Yet again, I'd put my faith in established HR wisdom that process can change human behaviour. Yet again, I'd neglected to reflect how human beings might actually think, feel and behave. Now, I know I'm not alone in making this mistake. As we moved from personnel managers to strategic HR business partners, we also became the process experts. We became brilliant at providing process solutions to human challenges. You want to improve human performance? Here's a performance management system. You want a pipeline of talent? Here's an annual talent review process supported by a 9-box grid. You want engaged employees? Here's an annual engagement survey process supported by a cascade action plan for every team. You want people to feel rewarded and recognised for their efforts? Here's a complicated bonus system. Now, it's not difficult to see why we've taken the process route. You know, in organisations, it's often easier to introduce a one-size-fits-all process that is monitorable, scalable, and more cost-effective to implement. Our desire for a consistent experience drives us towards a universal approach to the key elements of the employee life cycle. But there's also an often unspoken belief that underpins our process obsession. If we don't make managers do it, they won't do it. Our lack of faith in line managers to do the right thing by their people results in the creation of processes that try to compensate for them. Now, sadly, we have line managers who have no interest in developing their people, but there's no process that's going to change that outcome. We just feel better that we can point to our completion rate of performance reviews, or that we have everyone in one of 9 boxes. We rarely question whether we've actually had an impact on human behaviour in terms of performance or personal growth. With all of the current buzz around HR needing to become more human, I believe we need to stop being the process experts and start being the experts on how human beings think, feel, behave, communicate with one another, learn, are intrinsically motivated and so on. We need to build our capability and our credibility on how to create the conditions in our organisations where people can become more creative, more productive, more collaborative, more agile. Being the architects of these conditions won't come from the implementation of universal processes, but through a more robust understanding of why people behave in certain ways and how you can help them to shift their established behaviour. Next time you're interviewing someone for a role in your team, ask them about their understanding of the drivers of human behaviour and how these can be applied in HR. Ask them about how introverts and extroverts respond differently and what we can do. Ask them about different perceived threats and reward hierarchies and how have they applied this in their work. Ask them about how they believe habits can be changed, how you can use behavioural nudges to influence decision making. How have they used left and right brain thinking to improve communications? Ask them how they might create a culture of psychological safety to build more innovation. Or ask them about how they might tackle some human challenges without resorting to a well-established process. For example, ask them how to help managers and their team members have better conversations which lead to improved performance without having a performance management system. Ask them to design a reward and recognition approach that genuinely makes people feel valued without resorting to bonuses. Ask them how to encourage line managers to take an interest in developing their people and helping them reach their potential without an annual talent review or a 9-box grid. The credibility of our traditional processes is increasingly being called into question. When only 8% of organisations believe that their performance system is worth the time and effort that goes into them, and as employee engagement levels remain static for over 15 years, so our faith in large-scale processes is getting shaken. And our response in HR should not be to automate these processes in the hope that this will make them easier to comply with. I believe that the response should be to finally become what we were always meant to be, the genuine human expert. Hi, I hope you found this useful. If you'd like more videos like this, then make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications.